Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Winnipeg Jets franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we made a pretty interesting trade. Getting rid of Gabriel Velarde, we sent him to the New York Rangers on 50% retained for a first-round pick and Chris Kreider, who was making like $6.5 million as a 79. So basically, we added a lot of cap hit to our team to make us more cap compliant. And then we also got a free first round pick in that deal. Now, the Rangers are the top team in the Metropolitan Division as of right now, but there is a chance that they could still fall out of the playoff mix if they don't have a good rest of the season. So I'm hoping that's the case. If not, it is okay to have a late first round pick because our first round pick should be okay. It might not be the best in the world because we are actually very close to being a playoff team at the moment, which is not really what I was expecting when I made that trade, but if for some reason both us and the Rangers end up making the playoffs, what I'll probably end up doing or think about end up doing is basically packaging both of our firsts to a team that wasn't good this year and seeing if we could get a future first round pick, like next year's first for that team. So that way maybe we kind of cheese the other team in a sense, but we could also use that maybe to just bolster our prospect pool a little bit more. Like, honestly, it doesn't really matter if we make the playoffs at this stage, but if we don't, then we'll get obviously into trying to tank a little bit more and hopefully getting ourselves some good prospects, even better than the ones that we could get in the later stages of the draft. So yeah, hoping for more good growth from our young guys. So far, our young guys have been really good. You can see Michael Misa's leading his team in points with 50 points in 57 games, and he is potentially a Calder front runner, which is really awesome to see as well. Considering that trade, I think, worked out really well for both teams with us and Los Angeles because Kyle Connor re-signed in LA, and he's probably doing well over there. Meanwhile, we got ourselves a future top-line center, which is pretty damn good. So, we'll see, I guess, how this team does the rest of the way. It's been a very streaky season. We've had some really good months. We've had some very bad months. So I'm hoping at the rest of the season, considering we have how many games left? We've played 57 games. We have, I guess, another 25 games left of the season. Yeah, I think it's another 25 if my math is right. So hopefully we could just go like 0-25 and then we could get a good pick that way because I don't think we're going to have the best odds in the lottery. The Blues and the Flames are really tragic this season, so I think one of those two teams will definitely win the lottery, but it would be really nice for us to win the lottery, of course, considering we need more defensive prospects in for this team. We do have an abundance of forward prospects, which is good, but obviously we still want to continue building up that foundation, and hopefully this team can be a very young and competitive team in the next few seasons. But anyways, enough of me rambling. Let's get into your guys' comments before we get into simulating the rest of the season. So the first one is from Michael Dost, who says, trading away players and trying to lose, yet your team chemistry is over 70%. The players aren't into the tank mode, it seems, or it appears. And I totally agree. It is kind of weird because I think our team like thrives on the chaos where we basically trade away players. Like 72% chemistry, yet this team, most of these players weren't here on this team last year, which is kind of interesting. And you can see the morale trend is up on every single player. There is Kurashev who's disgruntled, but he has also been benched quite a bit, and he was in the AHL a little bit too. But pretty much everybody on this team is happy, which is really nice to see. So that is good. And then in the AHL too, the AHL is very good chemistry-wise. They're up to 77%. So we are getting probably a lot of growth because of the fact a lot of guys in the minors like playing with one another. You can see there's a lot of guys that could jump to our NHL team next season, like Brad Lambert, Konstal Helenius, even Caden Lindstrom, Salamonson, Kumpalainen. Jalanen was just a depth signing. Hemming can make the NHL next year. Galvas can. Luke Misa can. If these guys are all actually that overall, that would be really damn amazing. And then maybe we'll have a really good NHL team next year with a ton of young players, which would be really good. And then the last and final comment is from Sano Otaku, who says, I prefer watching your content over others because of your approach to the game. In my opinion, requires more skill to achieve the ultimate goal of winning championships. That was a great trade for Velarde. If neither you nor the Rangers make the playoffs, it will remind me of when I was rebuilding Tampa Bay. In 1 year, I ended up with 3 top 10 picks. Funny side note, at the time that you made the Velarde trade, the Flames were 6-13-2. So then in their next 29 games, they went 126-2. Then 5-5-0 in the 10 after that. As far as what you should do from here, I don't really know who else you could trade for without harming the youth you want to build around, one thing you should definitely do is take Kreider off the second line, and that's probably why he's been producing so well. And yeah, I tend to agree with a lot about that stuff with Kreider. I think it definitely would make a lot of sense for us to basically just demote him in the lineup a little bit, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do. As for what the Flames are doing, that is actually insane how bad they've been in this franchise mode, because literally I don't know what the roster even looks like. We might actually have to take a look at the roster to see why they're simulating so bad. Like, maybe it's just a locker room that doesn't like playing with one another. Like, maybe it's very low chemistry. I don't really know. Maybe it's the coach. They did fire their coach, though, so... but yeah, let's take Kreider off the second line. He's been really good for this team, but obviously if we want to continue to tank, we need him not on that second line. He's been almost point per game with this team. He's a +9 as well. So we will move him to the third line, and Afanasayev will get second line time with Misa and Lucius. Maybe this gives Afanasayev a bit more growth as well, which would be pretty solid for this team. So there is that. That's the only change we're going to really make. And then let's take a look at the Calgary Flames roster, because I think that would be an interesting thing to look at, considering they've been so bad this season. Like, they should get the first overall pick this year. If they don't, then EA's cheesing them out of a pick. And, this roster, honestly, on the offensive side of things, doesn't look terrible. They have Teravine and Roslovic Dubé. Yeah, it's not terrible. There must be some sort of, like, a lot of drop-off with their older guys, though, because, like, Kadri's down to an 82. So he's dropped off a lot. Huberto's dropped down to an 83, unless he already was one. Yeah, that's an interesting forward core. It's not terrible on paper, to be honest. And then defensively, they're a little bit weak with like Rathbone and whatnot, but it's not terrible either. And then goaltending-wise, they have Dustin Wolf in it. Yet he's been playing tragically. He's got a 4.14 goals against average. And then Shalgren's got a 4.42. He's played 20 games this season, and he's only won one of them. Jeez, man. Yeah, I don't know why this team's doing so bad. They also have Gavin McKenna scratched. EA, you gotta fix this type of thing. When you have a guy that went 3rd overall as a healthy scratch in favor of, all these old veterans, that is a major problem. Especially on a team that's not doing well. That does not make sense. Blott's down to a 76. Coleman's on the bench. Yeah, there's probably some sort of a morale crisis on this team, my guess. And it's probably stemmed at the fact that they're scratching McKenna in favor of, like, I don't know, Jacob Peltier should be scratched technically. But he is a third-line scoring forward, so technically he must not be happy on that fourth line either. So it's probably because the coach is doing kind of what Daryl Sutter would do and probably play a lot of these veterans over the young guys, my guess, is why this team is not doing well. That's interesting. Okay, so that's that. And in terms of also what Saturn Otago was saying, he doesn't think there's really much we could do without harming our youth. So I don't think we're going to make any trades in this episode, but we obviously still will jump into the trade deadline just to see if there's anything intriguing out there. But I honestly don't think we're going to make any more trades this season, and just hope our team misses the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, like I said, so be it. But I would prefer, obviously, for us to go on a downwards trajectory the rest of the year so we could get a high-up pick, because it would be nice to get some good prospects into our lineup. Because we already have a lot, but we definitely need more on the defensive side of things. I don't think Perfetti was injured, right, last episode? No, he wasn't. Thought so. And, of course, we won 2 games after we started recording. That's not great. That is not great. We are still not in a wild card spot. The wild card spot is the Coyotes with 67 points, but we have 3 games in hand on them. Wow. So technically we could leapfrog a bunch of teams at this stage because of the games in hand. Like, we have 4 games in hand on the Avs, but we're only 5 points back of them. There's a chance we could realistically win our division, which is not what I was expecting when I blew up this team a little bit. Okay, anyways, let's hop into the deadline and see what is out there. And we just won another game. Jeez, man. I don't know what's with this team, but I'm not going to complain too much. We're going to be a first-round exit if we make the playoffs, though. Book it. Let's just go as a buyer for a second, just because I want to see what is out there. We're not even going to try and make any deals, probably, though. Alex Ovechkin on the block. God damn. That's kind of weird. Same with Kuznetsov, Fabry. Not really anything, obviously, that is worth bringing in for this team, it looks like. Because it's not any young guys, really. It's all veteran-based. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to even look at potential trades. So let's just exit out of this deadline. And yeah, we'll see if this team ends up making the playoffs, and hopefully the Rangers fall off somehow as well. So there was one blockbuster trade at the deadline, a first-round pick to the Philadelphia Flyers for Owen Tippett and a third-round pick. So New Jersey's loading up. What other trades happened at the deadline? Because it's kind of fun always to take a look and see what the AI is doing in terms of trades. Yeah, see, now we're in a normal playoff spot. We can literally win this division. Oh, man. Like, yeah, this team just doesn't have the strength in it to not make the playoffs, apparently. So, LA also got a first-round pick and some prospect for a third, Sergei Bobrovsky, and 2 others, okay. So, Edmonton bringing in a goaltender. Montreal acquires Sandin, a 5th and a 6th, from Washington for a 2nd and a 4th. Okay. Toronto acquires a 2nd, a 3rd, and Coco, the goalie prospect, for Christian Fischer, Victor Mete, and 2 others. LA acquires a first-rounder in Tucker Rowe for Ian Cole, Luke Cunnin, and 2 others. Okay. New Jersey gets Boquist and a 3rd for Axelson, a 4th and a 5th. That's not a bad trade. Montreal gets Vorobiev, a 2nd and a 3rd for Raphael Harvey Pinard, Frederick Anderson, and 2 others. Goddamn. Pittsburgh gets Jersey and Weidman for a 1st and Cooper Foster. Why is Jersey and Weidman worth a first-round pick? They must be having good years. Philly is getting a first-round pick as well for Owen Tippett and a 3rd. A lot of first-round picks getting moved around, it seems like here. Some of them are future first, like Nashville gets the 2028 first for a guy named Paul Payne, and that's all for Jacob Vrana. Roslovic gets dealt from Calgary, so Calgary's making some moves, obviously considering they're not making the playoffs. They get rid of Roslovic, a 4th and a 5th, and Calgary gets a 2nd-round pick and Matthias Havlid. Anaheim getting Sonny Milano back from Washington, kind of funny. Holtz gets dealt to Chicago from New Jersey. That's a pretty big one. Yeah, that one I'm surprised didn't get notified. Because Colton Parayko, Ben Harper, and Zach Aston Reese head the other way. So New Jersey is definitely loading up a lot. Minnesota gets Hannafin Peak in a 5th for a 2nd and a 2nd. And then another first-round pick gets Deadwell Spike Franco to Dallas for Mike Matheson, Adam Ginning, and Samuel Benoit, or whatever his name is. Simon Benoit, not Samuel. So yeah, a lot of first-round picks getting moved around at that deadline. Interesting. And some of them are next year's first, so I wonder what that is going to entail for those teams. Are they going to end up winning the lottery with those type of picks or not? But let's see what ends up happening the rest of the season, because at this stage, I honestly have no idea what to expect. I don't know if our team is just going to all of a sudden lose like 10 straight games, miss the playoffs, or if they're going to keep winning and end up making the playoffs this year. So let's just keep simulating. At this stage, I honestly don't care if we make the playoffs, but I obviously still don't really want us to, because now we're going to have like a tweener pick if we do miss the playoffs, but we are winning games still. So there is a realistic chance this team could still make the playoffs here. Yeah, we're winning still games. I think we're going to end up making the playoffs with this defensive core. I think we're going to. Yeah, we're still winning games on a consistent base of 37, 27, and 8. We are on 82 points. This is actually a pretty tight race, though. The Coyotes are only 3 points back of us, but they have played one more game. And, yeah, obviously the Blackhawks are in the last wildcard spot. In terms of teams in the Pacific to watch out for, the Ducks are on 79 and 71. So the Ducks are also close. So we might still miss the playoffs. These 2 games here against Anaheim and Arizona might dictate who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. I kind of hope we make the playoffs at this stage, because we're going to have a very bad pick if we end up missing the playoffs. Like, it's going to be like 13th or 14th. And I would prefer, obviously, a top 5 pick if we're going to do anything. So I kind of hope our team makes the playoffs at this stage, or else we have kind of an average pick. And the Rangers are currently still in the playoff spot. It looks like they're going to likely make the playoffs. There is the Bruins for them to worry about, though. That's on 87 points. They're at 90 points. So technically, Boston can knock the Rangers out. But I think there's a realistic chance that both of our first-round picks might be playoff teams, which is not great. Let's go to this game against Anaheim, because it's a pretty big game to decide who makes the playoffs. We win that game. We win that game against Chicago, too. I think our team's going to make the playoffs. It just seems like it. 86 points now, 74 games. Blackhawks are outside the playoffs now with 82 and 75. So they're 4 points back of us with one more game played. And then you have the Ducks on 81 points in the same amount of games. Unless we lose like 5-6 straight games, I think we might make the playoffs here. So this big game against Anaheim, do we win it? Because it might determine if Anaheim is able to catch us or not. We lose. Okay. That's a pretty big loss right there. We are still in that wild card spot though, but it's going to literally come down to the wire. It's going to come down to the wire. Nobody in our division has actually clinched a playoff spot yet, which is kind of nuts. Let's go through this game through Toronto. We will lose 5-0. Oh no, is our team going to choke right at the end of the season? Because like I said, that would not be ideal considering it would be like not a great pick. Oh boy. Ducks are on 85 points. They're wild card. We're on 86 points wild card wise. And the Blackhawks with one more game played than us is only 2 points back. The Coyotes are 3 points back. And the Wild are 6 points back. We got to win games here, boys, if we want to make the playoffs, or else we might honestly just get a very mid-pick. Game against Edmonton is a 7-3 win. There's a big victory for the boys to hopefully get us into the playoffs. Because like I said, I think I honestly want to make the playoffs at this stage. No sense kind of like tweening it out. 88 points in 77 games. Last wildcard's on 86 points right now. Jeez, yeah, this game against Arizona is pretty crucial. Because where are they now? 83 points in the same amount of games played. Can we beat Calgary? We should be able to beat Calgary. They're only on 20 wins this season. Please give me a victory here. Because if we lose to them, that's a pretty big loss. Oh my goodness, and it was in regulation. We just lost to the worst team in the league. Well, we shouldn't probably make the playoffs at that sense, but we are still in a wild card spot on 88 points. The Coyotes are 3 points back. The Blackhawks are 2 points back. The Sharks are nowhere near us, so it's just basically the Blackhawks and Coyotes to watch out for. So this game against the Yotes is absolutely imperative to win if we want to make the playoffs. Do we want to make any adjustments to try and help us get into this playoffs at this rate? I think we got to just put Kreider back to the second line. I think we got to do it. It's like at this point, we might as well try and make the playoffs, right? So Kreider goes up, Afanasayev down, and hopefully that could help us get this victory. Because if we beat Arizona, there's a more realistic chance we make the playoffs. Because the last few games of the season after Arizona are against Dallas, who's leading our division right now. LA, who's not a playoff team, it looks like, at this rate, which is kind of surprising because they have Kyle Connor now. And Nashville is a playoff team as well. So we don't have much easy opponents left. We need to win this game here against Arizona. I could do a real-time simulation. Yeah, you know what? We'll do a real-time simulation. This is a big game. We'll see if this team could get the win here, even though it's a regular season game. First period in Arizona, can we get the lead? No, we cannot. We're down 1-0 after one. It's McQueen, who's one of the top rookies this year, beating Lucas Dostal. Shots are 13-9 in favor of us. Second period, still 1-0 Yotes. We might end up losing this crucial game, which is not great. Come on, boys. Let's get it at least to overtime so we can get a point, because that might come back to bite the Coyotes if they give up a point against us. Come on, guys. We're about to be shut out again here near the end of the season. Come on, please just get that tying goal. And we are going to get shut out 1-0 in Arizona, despite having 38 shots on goal. I think we might honestly just barely miss, but I don't really know. It could come down to these last few games here. Let's see. Are we still in the playoff spot at this stage? We are. 88 points in 79 games. Yotes are on 87 and 79. Yeah, the rest of these 3 games are very crucial to win. We lose all 3 of these games, there's a realistic chance we miss the playoffs. If we win at least 2 of the 3, I think we make it. Because the Yotes could knock us out, and that loss could come back to bite us. Because the Ducks are also... Actually, the Ducks are close to knocking us out of the playoffs too. As they're on 87 and 79, we're on 88 and 79. Blackhawks are on 88 and 80, so they might be knocked out too. And you have the Yotes on 87 and 79. Well, these last 3 games are going to be interesting. Can we beat Dallas, please, guys? I don't want to have a tweener pick. Grossek's been injured in the AHL. We do beat Dallas. That's a massive W there. That's the top team in the division we just beat. Wow. So we lost to a non-playoff team, and then we beat a playoff team. I don't really know what to make of this team at the moment. We're on 90 points in 80 games. The most the Coyotes can finish with is 91 points. So if we get one victory here, we clinch a playoff spot, I think. The Ducks are on 88 and 80, though. So the Ducks could technically finish with 92. Wow, okay. Can we beat the Los Angeles Kings and Kyle Connor, please, boys? Let's get this win. Yes, we can. 3-0 win. We have not clinched a playoff spot yet, as the Blackhawks have been knocked out of a playoff spot by the Ducks. It comes down to this last game of the season to determine if we make the playoffs or not. The AHL team did not make the playoffs, which is kind of a surprise because their roster is very stacked, but they didn't make it. So that's not ideal. But it comes down to this last game of the season to see who makes the playoffs. If the Blackhawks win, I don't know if they'd have more ROW than us, so that might be why. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't even clinch yet. Wow, okay, let's see what happens. This last game of the regular season, are we going to make the playoffs? We just got to hope for one of those teams that are chasing us to lose. Please. Because I don't know if we're going to be able to beat Nashville. Let's see. We do win 6-1. That means we have clinched a playoff spot with a team that was just a bunch of free agent misfits and guys that we brought in via trades prior. Wow, okay. Was not expecting to make the playoffs this year, but I will take it, I guess. I blew it up kind of a little bit this year, and the Rangers also made the playoffs, so maybe we want to package both those first rounders for a future first for another team. Or we could use both those picks and just get ourselves still good prospects. I don't really know. But that is kind of crazy that both us and the Rangers have made the playoffs. 43-31-8 at the end of the year. The team that missed was the Chicago Blackhawks with 90 points in 82 games. And yeah, the Ducks finished with 90 as well. Wow. And Michael Misa's 73-point rookie year. I think that's the main reason why we made the playoffs, is because Michael Misa emerged to being that really good player. Was not expecting that for his rookie season in the slightest. So we did make the playoffs this year. The Rangers finished as the 8th best team in the NHL. We finished as the 16th best team. Okay. In terms of goals for per game, our offense wasn't that great, so it must have been our defensive play that was just very stellar this year still, right? Because we're pretty below the mid-table in terms of goals for. Goals against wise, we were we're top 10 in defensive efforts, I think. Yeah, that's good to see. 2.99 goals against per game. Our power play was very bad, so our offense in general is just not good. And then our penalty kill was one of the best in the league as well. So great defensive team, not so much on the offensive side of things. And a 3 shorthanded goals for 24, 14, and 3 on home ice, 19, 17, and 5 on the road. So we weren't that good on the road, but we were a very good team on home ice. 6 and 4 in our last 10 games. Let's take a look at player stats before we have to see who we're facing in the first round. And it's the two guys I was hoping would have good years, Misa and Perfetti, our top 2 centers of the future, with very good rookie seasons. Well, not rookie seasons, I guess, for Perfetti, but very good seasons. These two guys will run our team for the most part over the next 8+ seasons, hopefully. Misa on 73 points is really good for his rookie campaign. Cole Perfetti on 71 is pretty solid as well. I think that might be a career high. No, it's not. 76 was, but still. 30-goal season for Cole Perfetti, I'll definitely take. Lucius was also really good this year too, so the youth movement is looking very bright with this team, especially considering they made the playoffs too. But 33 goals from Lucius, 58 points. Stankoven on 38 points and a +11 is really solid. He might end up being a really solid third-line center for us. Kupari on 27 points, Gustafsson on 26, and then of course Studnicka hadn't played in a while, but he was still really good as a depth forward. Left wing wise, Michelli on 54 points is pretty good. Kreider on 39 points, but how much with us? 36 and 62, so he definitely slowed down a lot when we demoted him to the third line. But probably once he got put on that top second line again, it really helped with our team's offense again. So there is Chris Kreider. Fortier on 29 points isn't bad, and Afanasayev on 23 and a +7 is not bad either. Right wing side of things, Chitinkov on 62 points is pretty good, and Aiden Irving helped us out a lot too this season. 29 goals in his rookie season, 39 points. So the emergence of the young guys on the offensive side of things very much helped this team. Because Misa, Perfetti, Lucius, who else was it? Irving, Stankoven. A lot of those guys took that big leap, which is really great to see. From a defensive standpoint, Morrissey on 69 points is really good. Salo on 20. Kairu on 20 is pretty solid. Heinola on 17. Regula on 14. And Kolyachonok was great defensively. 11 points and a plus 14. So, very much happy with how our team is performing, even though I didn't want to really make the playoffs this year, but I'll take it. And our goaltending was, pretty solid too. Dostal had a 910 and a 301, which is not that bad. But Colton Ellis, we gave him a lot of money just to be kind of that cap whale for our team. And 919 save percentage through 25 games. I will definitely take that. But yeah, the emergence of our rookies definitely helped out a lot. I'm hoping Misa could win the Calder this year, but that McQueen guy might end up winning it. And then Irving honestly could have been a Rookie of the Year candidate if Michael Misa wasn't in this class and all that type of thing. Because 29 goals as a rookie, that's not averaging that much amount of ice time, is pretty good. Like, if he gets constant growth, he could end up being a very solid 30, 40 goal scorer, maybe even 50 goal scorer at some point. So there is that. Let's take a look at stats around the entire league as well. So the best point getter was Kucherov with 117, Pasternak behind him with 115, and McDavid with 114. A lot of guys over 100 points as normal, including Matt Poitras, which is kind of crazy. Okay, so there's that. Best goal scorer of the season was, oh my goodness, I didn't realize Pasternak had that much goals. 79 goal season for David Pasternak. This is on medium scoring. This isn't even on high scoring. David Pasternak absolutely killed it this year. Like, he beat last year's total by 31 goals. 27 power play goals. If that ever happened in real life, I think Tougie would literally probably die to see 79 goals in 82 games. Jeez, man. That's craziness. Best defenseman in terms of points was Cale Makar with 93 points. Fox behind him with 80. A lot of good defenders this year in terms of points and plus minus. Devon Toews actually even had 74 points. Morrissey was up there for us, but only a +2 because we conceded a good amount of goals, I guess, when he was out there. Goaltending-wise, the best goalie in terms of wins was Georgiev with 42, him and Logan Thompson. Most shutouts by a starter was Connor Hellebuck in Chicago. That's where he went. I forgot we traded him there, and they missed the playoffs, and we made it. I don't understand this team and the logic of this game. We literally traded a lot of our good players to teams that missed the playoffs, and we ended up making the playoffs with the worst team. That is kind of hilarious. So Hellebuck had the most shutouts. I honestly forgot we even dealt him, to be honest. Georgiev had the best save percentage with a 923, and best goals against average by a starter was Georgiev with a 246. Man, Damian Clara got lit up, though, this one goalie. Actually, it was 2 goals on 13 shots, but still 604 average. Oof. And Cam Talbot a 477. That's like how he used to play when he was with the Sens. Any goalie goals this season just for fun? No. Most goalie assists was Wallstead with 5. Best rookie this season was Michael Misa, but is Roger McQueen going to win the Calder because of that plus minus? I really hope not, because that point gap should definitely give Misa the Calder, because that's a 12-point gap. But the plus minus might do it because EA beat EA. But yeah, Misa finishes number 1 in rookie points. Irving finishes number 4, and Stankoven finishes number 5. That is impressive. That's what I mean. The youth movement is definitely already in full swing because of all the guys in the AHL that could jump up to next season. So very impressed with the team. Not impressed that the NHL team missed the playoffs, though. I don't get how that happened, but is what it is. Who actually led the AHL team in points? I want to see that. Hellenius with 53 and 69. Actually, they still have a few more games, it looks like, coming up. 3 more straight games, but they already missed the playoffs. Okay. Let's see who we are playing in round 1. Is it a team we could beat? Can we be the cheese team? The Dallas Stars. Hey, we beat them in the last game in the regular season, 6-4. That was one of their last games. There's a chance we could beat them maybe, but still, Dallas is a very good team. We played them, I think it was last year, was it, in the playoffs? and we beat them. So they should be able to beat us this time around. Yeah, they still have a very good team. Robertson, Hintz, and Nyquist. Logan O'Connor on a second line is a little bit weird, though, with Duchesne and Yarncroke. Jamie Benn still kicking it at 37 with Sagan up there and Dadonov. Then we have a fourth line of Mason Shaw, Wyatt Johnson, and Sam Steele. So a kind of an old team with some young guys, obviously, because obviously Hintz is 30 now, I guess, at this point. Robertson's 27, but you do have some good young talent like with Johnson, and that's pretty much it, I guess, for young players. But it's a very veteran-based team, and they still have the good defensive core as well, Heiskanen, Pionk, Lundqvist, Lindell, Harley, and Sutter. And goalie-wise, Jake Ottinger and Yoel Blomqvist. Scratch-wise, they have Jeff Carter just randomly chilling on the bench at 42 years old. Okay, well, I think we're going to get knocked out in the first round, and this game basically put me in the playoffs just so I wouldn't get a good pick. That's what it seems like to me. Because now that the Rangers have also made the playoffs, I think we do not have... we're not going to have very good first-round picks, because I think the Rangers will probably end up doing decently in the playoffs too. But if we look at our draft board here, and projected picks, these two picks are probably going to be pretty late. And then we have an abundance of second-rounders too. My question to you guys is, do we hold on to our first and just draft with our picks if the draft is good? Or do we move basically these two first-rounders in the offseason for a future first and risk that it could be a later pick than both these first, or it could be an earlier pick than both these firsts? Because I think our team definitely still needs to rebuild a little bit, but to make the playoffs with this type of team, at least it shows that the young guys definitely have the confidence to do some damage a little bit. We have a lot of weakness on this roster. Based on their depth chart, we don't have any strength except for top prospects and whatnot. So we shouldn't be a good team, but somehow the game decided us to be in a playoff scenario. So I think that's pretty much it. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Winnipeg Jets franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to the first round of the playoffs against the Dallas Stars, who probably will pose a big threat for our team, and I don't think we're going to beat them. And we're probably not going to get a good pick because of that, but at least we have two first-rounders. Maybe we add some more good defensive prospects to the already good prospects we have jumping to our lineup next season. Is there anything down below? And I'll see you guys next time.